starring against Manchester United and idolising Pogba inside the rise of Manchester City prospect. Massive potential. When Manchester City youngster Floyd Samba settles down to watch the Blues play Monaco in the Champions League, his eyes might be drawn to the French club. Paul Pogba is unlikely to feature against the Blues on Wednesday night as he builds up full fitness following a doping ban, but the midfielder may well be in attendance at the Stade Louis II. Samba, a City midfielder catching the eye in the academy, grew up idolising Pogba and trying to base his game on a player who, at the time, could lay claim to being one of the best midfielders around. Samba, now 16, is beginning to carve his own path. He scored twice for City's under-18s in their 4-2 comeback win over Manchester United at the weekend to extend their perfect league record to 5 wins from 5. The teenager will now turn his attention to a youth league game in France on Tuesday as City seek to build on their opening 2-0 win over Napoli, a game in which Samba scored the opener. He produced a dazzling performance on his tournament debut against the Serie A side. One of the youngest players on the pitch was also one of the most imposing. "My idol is Pogba. Pogba's my favourite player of all time," Samba said, speaking to the MEN after that 2-0 win. "Just the way he plays, I try to be as composed as him as well. His quality is top, technique and everything. Tall as well, like me. Especially with passing ability, technique, everything is just top, so I look up to him. I always see him online. I follow him, see what he does, and I'm happy that he's back as well, so I can look at more highlights of him." Pogba signed for Monaco in the summer, after an 18-month doping ban ended, but he has to build up his fitness before returning to competitive action. If he is at the tail end of his career, Samba's is just beginning. He has been outstanding for City this season, scoring 6 goals in 5 academy games and netting for England under-17s. He believes this season has gone much better than last term, suggesting he struggled at times in 2024/25. But that is an assessment that elite development squad coach Ben Wilkinson disagrees with after Samba juggled his football with his schoolwork last year. And Wilkinson believes that Samba's move into full-time training this year is now beginning to bear fruit. "I think he's probably a bit hard on himself. Last year he was still at school, so you're in a full-time school program. You've got your GCSEs and you're playing in our under-18s. Trying to balance the two is a very difficult act," said Wilkinson. "He's also growing a lot, connecting with his body, picking up injuries, that sort of thing. I think he's got massive potential. He's got the physicality and technical ability, and when you have those two things, you've got a great chance of being a top player. You can see that from the evidence against Napoli, the action for the goal was of a really high level, so I think for him now he's just got to build on that. He's in the building full time. We have opportunity then to control everything in his program and working with that physicality, trying to improve it, but trying to keep him fit and trying to understand, to go through the possibilities that he's going to have to deal with in terms of that kind of age profile he's at, where you do pick things up and then test him when he needs. Napoli was probably his biggest test since he's been in the building. I said to him in the dressing room, there's a moment of magic where he wins us the game, but I don't want him to be coming off after 70 minutes with cramp. He's a young player with a lot of potential, and hopefully he's on the right track." Samba is in the City Academy with brother Tyrone, the sons of former Premier League centre-back Christopher. The 41-year-old had a fruitful 5-year spell with Blackburn Rovers and also played for Queen's Park Rangers and Aston Villa. He couldn't make Floyd's Youth League debut 2 weeks ago, but was tuning into a live stream of the fixture online and is a regular source of advice to both his sons. "He's always giving me guidance because he's been through it all, he's experienced, he knows everything, so he'll let me know on anything. What's right, what's wrong. It helps me a lot," said Samba. "Maybe he's a bit harder to please. He always expects the best, so I try to deliver the best and he'll be honest, he'll tell me if it was good or bad." Manchester City have a thriving new partnership. That £31 million signing could break up Manchester City are getting success down their left through Nico O'Reilly and Jeremy Doku, and Rayan Aït-Nouri has work to do to get back in the team. Hugo Viana was explaining the technical and tactical skills that resulted in Manchester City landing on Rayan Aït-Nouri as their preferred left-back target, detailing that the Algerian could play outside and inside when playing in that role. City's director of football also stressed Aït-Nouri's really good technical skills and his youth. But reading it now, it's a description that could just as easily fit the player he replaced, who now finds himself back in competition with, in Nico O'Reilly. The only part of Viana's assessment for Aït-Nouri that didn't fit for O'Reilly was that he had a lot of Premier League experience, but that gap might well be closing. City's new £31 million left-back has had a stop-start beginning to his Etihad career. He was impressive at the start of the Club World Cup before struggling against Al Hilal, then started the first 3 Premier League games of the season, but lasted only 23 minutes against Tottenham. Another injury has kept him out of action throughout September, and by the time he returns, he will have missed at least 7 games. In that time, O'Reilly is taking his chance. The 20-year-old was a makeshift left-back last season and probably looked at the idea of Aït-Nouri playing more often, meaning he could challenge for the midfield berth he has his eyes on long-term. The problem is that every time O'Reilly is shunted back to left-back, he excels again. He only started training in that position in January, but is now performing so well that his name is being mentioned in dispatches around the England squad for next summer's World Cup, and the possibility of filling a position that has long been a problem. To achieve that, he will need more games there for City, but he might get his wish. Aït-Nouri has shown flashes so far, but when he returns to fitness in October, he will rapidly need to make the position his own. The 24-year-old will also need to prove he can click with Jeremy Doku. They combined well in the Club World Cup, but there were no sparks at the start of the domestic season. It might not be a coincidence that since O'Reilly came into the team, Doku has hit a rich vein of form. O'Reilly described his instructions at left-back as a free role, but he seems to have struck up a good tactical understanding with Doku, who is producing the most consistent run of his City career. I feel like last season I was learning a lot from him, what he likes to do, and I feel like this season we've clicked and we work with each other, said O'Reilly. I know when he went outside, I'd go inside, I'd leave him, give him his space in a 1 versus 1, because I know that's what his best attribute is. When Aït-Nouri returns to the City side, he will have to develop the same level of understanding with the informed Doku to truly hold off O'Reilly's challenge for his position. Pep Guardiola has spotted Manchester City's surprise secret weapon. Nico O'Reilly has signed a new long-term contract at Manchester City, and his record in the team is very impressive. As weekends go, it was a pretty good one for Nico O'Reilly. He signed a new 5-year contract at Manchester City on Friday, and the Blues then won 5-1 on Saturday to maintain his remarkable record in this team. O'Reilly was the breakthrough star of last season, edging his way into the team during a difficult campaign, and he is becoming something of a lucky charm. The win against Burnley was the 9th Premier League start of his career, of which 7 have been won and 2 drawn. In total, he has won 15 and lost just 2 of his 20 starts in all competitions, and one of those came right at the very start, in the Carabao Cup defeat to Tottenham last year in a much-changed team. An attacking midfielder by trade, he looks at home as a left-back, and Guardiola had been studying the stats regarding O'Reilly, which was part of the reason he was so keen to tie him down to a new contract. I think since he started to play, we lost just 1 game. The FA Cup final against Crystal Palace, he said. When he's not been involved, it was defeats all the time. So Nico helped us a lot, improved a lot in his aggression and set pieces and with the ball. The 20-year-old is a softly spoken type whose rise has taken plenty by surprise. He took his opportunity with both hands last season, and Rayan Aït-Nouri's injury has him back in the team this season. That arguably sums up his impact. City lost 2 of their first 3 games but have been unbeaten in 5 since O'Reilly came in. It's not all down to him, but he is the type of footballer who can make others look better. The new contract keeps him at the club until 2030 and adds to a youthful core being built by Guardiola. O'Reilly was wanted by Chelsea last season and linked with clubs in Europe this summer, but is delighted he is now staying at the Etihad. I heard rumours about Chelsea, he said, but I was in season, I had to stay focused. At that time, my main goal was to get on the pitch and start playing. Before then, I didn't get much time on the pitch. The contract shows they have faith in me and want me here. O'Reilly had never played at left-back until being thrown in against Salford City last January, but he describes the interpretation of the position under Guardiola as a free role, and he is as comfortable driving down the left flank as he is drifting into midfield and even central positions in the penalty area. He was one of 8 academy graduates to be involved in the Carabao Cup win against Huddersfield last week and is now seeking to pass on any advice he can. Although he is relatively fresh to the side, there were 3 debutants against the Terriers, and O'Reilly walked out of the Etihad on Saturday deep in conversation with Divine Mukasa. "I'm proud to be here," said O'Reilly. "Having academy players in the team is always a good thing, and obviously in games like that where more can be in, so it's a great feeling, and I'm happy for the lads that made their debut. I'm just trying to make them feel as comfortable as possible. That's what I got, and it helped me out a lot, so whatever I can do to make them feel the same way, that's what I'll do." Manchester City alarm bells will be ringing as huge contract decision looms. Manchester City have to decide whether to offer Rodri a new contract as he continues to battle fitness issues with his knee. There have been a flurry of new contracts given out at Manchester City in the last couple of months, but perhaps the hardest decision facing Pep Guardiola and Director of Football Hugo Viana is what to do with Rodri. A week ago, the 29-year-old looked to be making good progress on his return from an anterior cruciate ligament ACL injury, starting 4 games in a row and completing 90 minutes in the first and last of them. But then came the final training session on Friday before City faced Burnley, and the Spain midfielder told Guardiola that he was in a lot of pain in his knee and wasn't fit enough to face the Clarets. Concerningly, it was the same knee he injured in